All right. Hello, Ricky. Hello, Anat.
Hi, Oded.
All is well.
Good. We're talking about Tiger Eye. And our context is the new version that's released by the WDR Big Band and the three Cohens with my arrangement after Anat's arrangement.
Please, yeah, I mean, because live recording, folks. I heard it this morning for the first time. I was driving, dropped my daughter at school, drove home, listened to it, and I swear by the last chorus, I felt the hair on top of my head was starting to rise. I had the chills hearing the band, back there, and the three Cohens weaving in and out. It was just like overwhelming. I feel like I'm going to have to use this when I teach, because here's a composition that is at least 110 years old, if not older. And it's like the whole history of not just jazz, but just like 20th century music, world music. It's just all kind of colliding into each other. And so if you're a historian like me and you listen to it in 2025, you'll pick up on all these little things. If you're a human being in 2025 who knows nothing, you're gonna think this is the most creative, modern, fresh interpretation of any piece of music. So I was just knocked out. Congratulations to you all. But yeah, I mean, for the arrangement purposes, like, how do you take something that Anat wrote for a sextet and then, delineate it for a big band and keep it going for 8 minutes like that? My goodness.
Yeah. So, I mean, the band is really burning on this WDRs. They sound amazing. So it's interesting. You think about like creating a big band chart for a tune like that. I have a real kind of not love hate, but a complex relationship with the big band, because it's such a great tool to do what it wants to do. Traditionally from like a jazz band, like no amplification, hit you really hard. But then if you ask it to do other things, it's sometimes a little bit complex. When you think about something like this and you're basing, I know that Anat listened to the Louis Armstrong version, and you hear it, it's small and elegant. It's kind of a different thing. And all of a sudden you have this beast. The chart starts with like a build-up for the entire band, which is pretty modern. It uses pretty modern kind of language and tools and that kind of stuff. It has this canonic thing. It just takes the themes, like little motifs from the actual songs, and kind of puts them together in a different way, which is a modern approach to composition, to arrangement. And then it reaches this climax, this like mountain of sound coming at you, and all of a sudden they go, wait a minute, this is the song? Do you remember? This is what we're doing? And then there's 3 bars where they kind of look, I imagined like, the Muppets, where he looks into his saxophone going like, what was that? So then the drummer goes, oh, okay, here we go. And then the tune starts. So that's kind of my version of addressing exactly what you're saying. And then the end of that chart is just like a party, trying to say like, don't worry about it. Big band, not big band, whatever you play, just like come along for the ride.
Knocked me out for sure.
Ricky, there's so many versions of this song. For almost like 100 years. What's so like, why? What's so special about it?
I mean, I think musicians just love it. I think it's just fun to improvise on. Audiences love the whole Hold That Tiger call and response and everything. And so I think it's one of those songs there's something for everyone. And, before rhythm changes, Tiger Rag changes, that was where Ellington lived. That's where a lot of the first 50 years of jazz was kind of centered around this composition.
Okay, I have one more question for you. Who wrote it?
Oh, that's the great debate. If you buy the record, it'll say Nick LaRocca, the original Dixieland Jazz Band. They were the first to record it. As I mentioned, Jelly Roll Morton has a 9-minute explanation on the Library of Congress about how really nobody wrote it. It was this kind of, he 4 different strains, 4 different dances, just all got kind of mashed together. There was a trombonist in New Orleans, Jack Carey. People said it was his song, and people used to sing, play Jack Carey instead of Hold That Tiger. But I think a lot of those early New Orleans compositions we'll never quite know exactly, especially since New Orleans music isn't really being recorded. I mean, jazz is around from the beginning of the 20th century, but the record companies don't really trust it, and they don't really start recording black jazz musicians until 1922, 1923. So whatever happened in those early years, it was like the Wild West. We're just thankful we have something that we can learn from with the records.
And it's so interesting because it's like all of a sudden, when publishing gets involved in the music business, there's this concept of a composer or an arranger, which is maybe not exactly fitting how this music was being played at the time. So, but all of a sudden, you got to have one person. That's kind of the Western version of it. But you got to have a composer. Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah, not mention Muskrat Ramble. That was always Louis's thing, that the band, the Hot Five, came up with Muskrat Ramble in the studio, but they said, we need a name for it. And Kid Ory said, Muskrat Ramble. And they said, all right, that works. And they put Ory's name on it. And so Ory got the credit and Ory got the royalties, but Louis said, nah, man, we all wrote that one. So.
Oh, wow. I did not realize that. That's beautiful. I mean.
So now, Anat, the version, the big band version that I arranged is based on your version for the 3 Cohens. Can you talk a little bit about how you came up with that version? What prompted you to bring it to the band? What informed your arrangement?
Well, there's a few elements to the reason why I brought Tiger Egg to the 3 Cohens, because my 2 brothers, Avishai and Yuval, we played some original music. We play more modern jazz, but the first jazz we all played was the music of New Orleans. We all were part of a band in the conservatory in Jaffa playing. I didn't know anything about improvisation. We were playing charts that were transcribed from the original Dixieland band, and I would just play the written solos, and I loved the way everything felt, and my brothers were there, and we all, this kind of like, it really formed the way the 3 of us play together, because we understand this hierarchy of, there can be 3 horns playing together, but have an understanding that each one has the part. So it really informed our collective playing and who we are as musicians. So for me, I mean, and a few years ago, we did a program of just all, Louis Armstrong songs, because we all, of course, how can we not idolize pops? But specifically Tiger Egg, bringing to the 3 Cohens, there's a few things about this song that are already they kind of they are part of the song. First of all, the clarinet has a major role in it. Yay. Like in all the versions, the clarinet gets to do all the breaks and kind of leads certain energy. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to do that. But then I thought, okay, instead of maybe immediately go to the swing, we can take a little trip through the world and make a little baião, Brazilian baião meets like kind of the Middle Eastern, rhythms and scales. They'll change a little bit, make a little bit through our sources, where we come from, but combining all our roots. So that was the idea. And of course, using the 3 horns as the main leading melodies, but always in unison or 3 voices. So that was the idea.
That's awesome.
Is Tiger Egg traditionally is one of those tunes that also was kind of like a cutting contest?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, no, I think this was definitely one of those for battling.
For battling, because some of the versions are so fast, and it's just and it's almost like, I mean, of course, when you can hear Avishai, of course, how influenced by Louis Armstrong, but one of the beautiful things is that when the rhythm section is playing so fast, is that you can kind of swing half time to like
yes.
Like the way Pops is doing it. So it's like it's so inspiring to have that sound always accompanying us, to say, okay, I can go to the
right.
or go to that super heart expressive melody, strong melody. So this is like, and then it's true because the changes are simple. it's harder to play on simple harmony because you're so exposed, and then your musicality, your sense of humor, your humanity, everything can be expressed if you're willing to try with something through the simplicity of the changes. So it's such a challenge, even though it's simple tune. It's like so challenging. So we love the challenge. We love this song.
You definitely passed the challenge. I noticed that while listening too. It was like, there are moments where it's like, all right, and it was all three, we're going to attack this thing head on and trying to match the tempo. And then moments just like, all right, let's just lay back. And those are all the lessons of Louis Armstrong. And you guys are the living, breathing embodiment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Maybe this is like jazz, like the jazz equivalent of the Omelette test. You know how they say that, like, to see if a French chef can really cook, you ask him to make an omelet, like go back to the basics. It's simple stuff. We don't need all your, patterns and, all that stuff that you've been practicing for years. Can you make an omelet?
Can you play Tiger Rag? I like it.
Ricky, thank you very much for joining us. And we hope to see you soon.
Oh, wherever you go, I will be following. Trust me.
Great, Ricky Riccardi.
Oh, right back at you. Thank you.